Hi, welcome to Aro-Tarot. I'm Des, and I was kind of hoping with the next video I would have a microphone, but I'm having some issues with the one that I bought. So yeah, I'm just going without a mic again. But I figured this video wouldn't be too long, so I figured it'd be fine. um, So yeah, for this video, I kind of thought that I would maybe go over how I started tarot journaling in a different way last month, and then also kind of just going over like what I journaled and stuff last month. So a bit of a how was my journaling in June kind of situation, combined with how I'm now journaling like going forward. So yeah, I'm using this one. um I really like Archer and Olive's notebooks. I have for years. I was a part of the quarterly subscription until like I just did not need as many notebooks and stuff as I was getting and had to stop. So now I'm just part of the monthly kit that they do every month. Which you will see some of the stickers for that for July if I show like maybe the first page of July. But yeah, like, I only just signed up for that one in July, so, like, for June, this is actually some stickers from one of their kits that they had done before. But anyway, I'm going off topic. So for, like, the notebook, I had a few laying around that I hadn't used yet. I had gotten quite a few of them on sale, not during this current warehouse move that they had. I think it was maybe their last one that they had. I don't remember. I know it was, I think, like at least a year ago, and they had a really good sale on a bunch of notebooks, and I had snagged some up because I was going to turn them into tarot journals specifically for certain decks. I had this one in mind for a certain deck, I believe, because I think I actually ended up using a different book for that. But anyway, I kind of had this one laying around along with a few others, and this one was the one that I decided to do. It's got some more pages. It's the A5 that's got a few more pages than their regular A5 one. So I figured this one would be really good to have and to use as this tarot journal that's starting in June. um, so yeah, so oh yeah, I had to decorate the front with like tarot journal and the dates. The art over here is by Arlisha Yetzer, Arlabine. This was one of the prints from the monthly Patreon for the print sticker one. It's not one of the ones that was like a recent one. This one's like before like she had like closed it down for a while and stuff. I was just decorating this part and I needed something for over here. And then I was kind of looking at some of the art prints that I'd had from people, and this one matched just so well. So I decided to use this one. I don't have it glued down. I have it washi down if I remember correctly. So I'd be able to take it out if I really wanted to. And then I know this sticker is from James R. Eads when I had gotten the I don't know why I can't think the name of it. The charm casting. When I recently had gotten that, I had gotten a few stickers as well because I knew I was going to be using them in journaling. So I know that's where that's from. And I know this is just, I get a lot of stickers from this one shop on Etsy that's actually just stayed over from me. They're really good prices. So I like butterfly stickers a lot. So you'll see a lot of butterfly stickers. So yeah, I just kind of decorated this front page so I'd have something pretty that I could look at and be able to put the dates on there as well. So for June, I pretty much used like some different washies that I had. I know this one is from, actually their name's right here. It's Gears. I don't know exactly how you pronounce it. They are an artist that does BBC Merlin fan art that I really like. So I'd gotten a couple washi tapes from them. I know these stickers were from Archer and Olive from one of the kits that I had used with one of my other bullet journals. And then, of course, I have a picture of Merlin over here. This is pretty much kind of the style that I've kind of come to journal in. I like the ripped washi tape and I like the ripped paper because when it's ripped, it means that I'm not as picky about how it's laid down to make it straight. So that's just a thing that kind of, I just like how it looks. Because if everything was straight, I would be so picky about trying to get exactly straight with the dots, and that is a little hard to do. So the way I have it set up is for the first page, this is kind of like a decorative page where I'll have the month, I'll have like a picture of like a character I like. I imagine that a lot of these are going to end up being Merlin. July's is not Merlin. June's was, and I imagine a lot of the ones going further are going to be pictures of Merlin because Merlin's my favorite character. So, Colin's also my favorite actor, so there you go. There will be a lot of Merlin probably going in the future. This particular picture is from a photo shoot that was in season 4. So, yeah. And then I've had it where I'm picking stickers, but I am having it so there's room right next to in case I use more decks than what can hold on the sticker. But I thought it'd be cute decoration, and I've done it with this month and for July. So this is just a little part where I could put all the decks that I used. I remember in my old journals for tarot journaling, I used to do that as well, where I would write down all the decks that I used the month. It was partly also because I was cataloging it on the one thing that I would catalog my decks on as well, like computer website as well, in order to kind of see if there were decks that I noticed were seasonal, and I only kept that up for I think like half a year, so I never got to actually see like a reoccurring, did this deck show up like every kind of year kind of situation, besides obviously like the spooky decks that are very Halloween-y because, you know, I'm gonna bring them out in October. Those actually have their own separate space, how I have all my decks kind of like organized and stuff on my shelves. Which I definitely need a new shelf because I have 2 that are kind of overflowing because they're the 2 categories that are my favorites, and I think it's becoming a little bit of a problem. I think I need to, I'm planning on, I'm switching couches with my Nana, so I'll have a smaller one. There'll be room for another shelf then in the living room. I'm thinking maybe that shelf could be my favorite decks that I know I pull a lot, because that way those 2 categories can definitely go down. Because right now they are just stacked so much, you know, it's a bit too much. So yeah, so I have it set up like this for the first page, and then the very next page is where I do the monthly reading, and I take pictures of the cards, I cut them down, I print them off in the contact size on my computer so that they can kind of fit, and I don't remember, I might be able to find it, where this particular reading's from. I do know my spreads book's actually just in the other room, so I may go grab that really quick right now, because it's just in the other room. Like, when I meant just in the other room, I meant that it was literally just a few steps away. Like, not even worthy of, like, editing it out. Let me see. Okay, so this particular spread I had gotten from the cannerywitch.com. I was looking for monthly spreads, and I'd really like this one, and I've been using this, I don't know how long now. Definitely probably a couple years at this point. See, that's what that spread's from, that I'm using for all my monthly ones going forward. I'll probably say that on each video, just because, you know, their spread. And that way, if someone hopped in on a July video and didn't watch the June one, they would still know where it's from. So, when I went into this one, this first month, obviously, the first one here. And so, I wanted to have a couple spreads, more so like kind of these right here, because it's the first one. So, I wrote an intentions page. I did that with my first ever tarot journal, if I remember correctly. And I may have done it with my second one that I had used. After that, I had tried switching over to another one. When I filled up the one, I wasn't vibing with it at all, and that's kind of where it went downhill into tarot journaling. I kind of started to do a little bit of it in my regular bullet journal at that point, and I was doing so much painting, so much of my energy was kind of going into making my own deck that it kind of like, it fell off. So I decided to write like a little intentions where it's like, you know, so I wrote up this little thing, kind of like just what I wanted to do, which I'll explain, so I'm not going to bother like reading it out. That just take up time that we don't need. And then over here, since again, this is a very front of the book, I put my wish list. I've already been bad on 2 of these where I wrote them down and then immediately bought them. So yeah, but still, that's still better. I do think I may end up getting out my one old bullet journal that had I think it actually had 2 wish list pages in that one because my wish lists were so big. And maybe see if there's any ones on the old wish lists that are still available that I might want to throw on here. I know some of these are mass market, so I know these are all fine. And then for the very next page, I don't like how I decorated this one. But it's fine. So I figured the way I would do my weekly spreads is I used to have it where I would have a whole page kind of dedicated to the weekly spread. And I had the pictures bigger. I would then write a bit more about it. And I do have it sort of where I could write a couple sentences if I wanted to. But I can also do that in my bullet journal because I have plenty of space in there too if I really wanted to do that. So I figured the way I was going to have this set up is more so as a visual, so I could see what I pulled, more so to see if there was any patterns than necessarily me journaling about the weeks all the time. Especially since I want to use this more so for journaling prompts than necessarily like, oh, let me catalog what my weekly reading was. Let me catalog what my daily reading was. Because that's what I was trying to do before, and I feel like it wasn't working. And there were some prompts I really wanted to do that I never got to. My one journal, which was probably my favorite out of the tarot journals I had, which was either my first or my second tarot journal. And that one, I had made a bunch of pages that were for the prompts, essentially, for journaling, and I never got around to doing them. I decorated them. There was 2 of them where I had written up sort of like the jumping off points, essentially, like how I'll explain how I'm going about it. Like I was basically the first step. And I'd finished the first step on those 2. But the problem was they were so long. Because of the specific prompts they were, and that having to do with the deck I was making. So I had too many ideas to write. And when I finally get to those characters journaling in this book, it's probably going to be a little hard. I might actually have to dedicate a whole spread to each character instead of just having it be a single page like I'm able to do with some of these other ones. Because that's what happens when you've got certain favorite characters that you made an entire tarot deck centered around. So yeah, these are more so visual, so I could see what decks I was using, and I do have it written down because obviously you can't really see them on the photos, so I do have it written down what each of the cards were, and that way I could be like, oh, I can see that the star came up multiple times. I apparently didn't write these ones down, which I may just write down really, really quick, because that won't take me long to just write down these. Doing it in a bit more of my messy handwriting. That's what the one do. Okay, that was the 7 of Pentacles. Oh, I can see it says it here now, but see, that's why I have to write it down. Because I can't really read. This one's very easy to read. You know, some of the others not so much. And I'm not having these printed out, so they're like the prettiest things ever, perfectly taken photos of. Again, it's just kind of visual representation, and it does look decent enough for journaling. So after the weekly reading, I think this was just kind of logged in there because my cats keep wanting to chew on these all the time. Especially right now, my one cat's being very nosy at the moment, and she's just trying to find all of my ribbons that are on my books that are sitting right next to me while I'm on the computer, while I'm doing anything. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah, she came into the room. Yeah, I was talking about you. You better not come over. Yeah, you can sit right there, though. She says, okay. Okay, so these are essentially the 2 out of 3 these are more of the prompts, though. The third thing that I'm kind of doing isn't really a prompt, it's just something that I can just do for fun. So the prompts I'm having for myself is essentially, I'm going to take a tarot card, at least one. Like this month I had done 1, but like this prompt I ended up doing 2 for that month. And I'm decorating a page for it. And then I'm going to journal about that card. And I'm not like going, oh, this is the card I want to journal about. No, I literally was like, I'm going to grab a deck. I'm going to open up my deck. And then I'm just going to actually like shuffle. I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to see what card comes up. And I'm going to journal about it. I am at the moment trying to avoid the minors. Just because, I don't know, I feel like going into something like this for the first couple months, I thought it'd be better to do it more so about the majors. I did end up kind of going back on that a little bit when I went to July. I'm going to journal about a major and a court card. But the month was already kind of partly started at this point. I was halfway to June when I started this book. And so I very much was like, I want to at least have it be a major. I know I could write about the majors. I drew strength. I'm like, okay, I could probably write up something about strength. I decorated the page. This was supposed to be something I could do later. Did I do it later? No. I then sat down and immediately started writing. And I got to the point, like, hyperfixation starting up. The thing about strength is, as I had kind of say in the beginning here, this is one of the cards that I very much associate with characters. I do really like decks where they are based on like shows, comics and stuff. My first ever deck was the Justice League Tarot, which is an out of print deck. But in that card, for instance, strength was Wonder Woman. And then one of the other decks that I had gotten, the very next one, which was based on a series of books, which was Sherlock Holmes, you know, this card was John Watson. And that helped me learn strength. It helped me understand that card. So then I started to get here, and then I just started talking about why I picked Arthur for strength in my deck, with being able to then visualize Gwen and Merlin in the cards, and I just went into there pretty much just for like all this part of like why I thought it was really good, and how like that's how I see strength. But yeah, this is essentially kind of how I'm doing these. So for this next one, I actually did like 2 of these ones this month. So what I'm doing, this one was not one that I drew out of the thing. Neither is the next one I did. I was like, going into this, I knew that I wanted to have it be Astarion first. I had to talk about Astarion first. But essentially what I'm doing, that's notes for my one video game thing, is I have some envelopes in the back here. So I have this envelope, I have this envelope. And these are in this envelope. So I have these little envelopes, and my whole plan for the months is to open it up, and then I will take a name out. So for instance, that's kind of funny, it's Karlach, which is the other Baldur's Gate 3 character that I put in this envelope. So it's characters that I like from different shows and stuff, and video games, and to essentially journal about them through the lens of tarot. Specifically, as you can see with Astarion here, I am going through a tarot deck. I'm looking through, I'm pulling out cards that I think maybe make me think of the character. And then from there, depending on how many it is, I'm then narrowing it down to about like 4, 5, 6 cards. And then I write down that card, and then I'm writing why it makes me think of that character. So for Astarion here, I did the 8 of Swords, I did Death, I did the Star, and I did the Lovers, because I can't not romance Astarion. I think it's a bit of a problem. I have not obviously finished all of them. I do have multiple characters like that have gotten to Act 2 and Act 3. But I have started a lot of characters because I just like making characters. And are all like 20 characters going to romance Astarion? Yes. Because I can't help myself. This is not like when I played Dragon Age Inquisition where I've romanced all of them. No, no, no. This is like me playing Dragon Age Origins where I think the only way I'm not going to ever romance Alistair is if I make a guy character. Because I just see him and I'm like, dang, that's my man right there. Astarion, though, is a bit of a problem because I could play a guy, a girl, non-binary character. And then I'm just like, no, that's my vampire right there. I gotta romance him. You see that look he's giving me? How he's sweet in Act 2. He's also so pathetic. He's everything. So, yeah, I ended up having to journal about Astarion first. I also relate to Astarion too. I've never really played a video game where I just was bawling my eyes out. So yeah, I had to write about Astarion first. And then the last thing I'm doing, and this is kind of like how the one other thing that I'm doing, which has to do with this envelope. This is something that is not something that I need to sit down and go through all of my decks to do. I'm just going to write down the ones that I'm initially thinking of, that immediately come to mind, and then from there, as I'm pulling out decks to read in the future, if I pull out a deck, and I'm like, yeah, actually, now thinking about it, this deck makes me think about that character I journaled back in June, then when I'm like this far into the book, I can just flip back and write down the deck. So this is like decks that make me think of the character. I have actually done this before with one other character that I had done. I don't think this, when I originally was going to have it be like this in my one old tarot journal, I don't think this was going to be an initial thing. But in a later tarot journal, I remember it was Jaskier, because that's another favorite character of mine. I had kind of looked through my decks, and I picked out the ones that made me think the most of Jaskier, and that was something that I had journaled about, was I took pictures of some of my favorite cards in each of that, decorated the spread, and was kind of like, this makes me think of Jaskier because, this deck makes me think of Jaskier because, like the Tarot made me think of Jaskier because, like, Gordon, great, so talented. You'd have to watch season 2 to know what I'm talking about there, but so yeah, like this is a section. So the first deck that came to mind with me was like the Marigold Tarot, like aesthetically, just made me think very much of Astarion. It immediately came to mind. I've been thinking about pulling it out again, especially since I recently got an Oracle deck that I think might pair really well with it. So yeah, obviously there's going to end up being more decks. That's why I have space, but I have it so I can just go flip back when a deck makes me think of Astarion, and I can just write it in. So again, this one's another one that not has to do with this still. Oh, and I have another one too. Wait, I do actually have 3. I don't know why I was thinking that there was 3 prompts. There's 4 prompts I'm going to do every month. This is the 3rd one, and there are 3 that are ones that I need to sit down and work on. I'm so sorry, Lily. I forgot about you for a second there. This page I put in because, again, beginning of the book. So here I'm just going to, as I kind of come to pulling the decks out, which ones are my favorites. My top 3 I immediately threw in, which is the deck I made, an unofficial Merlin Tarot, the Justice League Tarot, which was my first deck, and the Blood Moon Tarot, which is just such a beautiful deck. I have the book because I needed to get it because that deck is just so beautiful and it's such a good reader. It is a favorite of mine, so I immediately put those down. And these stickers are from Mary Lewis. I believe these stickers were specifically from the Patreon, because I'm part of her Patreon, where I get stickers and a print every month. I've really liked her art for so freaking long. I have a couple of the old Inktober books from basically when I got into the Merlin fandom. If you're in the Merlin fandom, you have seen this art. It's like that, Okay, so then we have this prompt, which this is not a prompt I have an envelope for. I may grab another one of these little envelopes. I actually get these from I don't know about this one. I know this one, though, I got actually from my monthly. It's like a pen pal mail, kind of, I think's what it's called, if I remember correctly. On Patreon. So I'll get like little like stickers and stuff in these every month. So I might grab another one of these for this prompt. But this prompt then, it's a character, but I have it set up differently than, like, for instance, Astarian here. And that's because this one's one of my characters. I'm going to focus more so on my ball-jointed dolls. Like, for instance, Nettie over here that's been chilling. She's a Doll Zone Peach. And she is small enough that she can sit here while I'm filming. I know in the last video I had my Dream Valley boar, whose name's Cole. So the first picture I just happened to look at my BJDs was Lily, which she's so pretty. I'm really happy with how her face up turned out. I actually painted her myself. I got her blank, and she's one of the couple dolls I've done her face up myself. But because these are OCs, I'm doing it a little differently. So I have it, so it's what kind of readings would she do? So if she was, you know, an actual person, if she had, I mean, they do actually have a couple tarot decks that I have that are actually small enough for them that they can hold and stuff. They're just very thick. They're very thick. I imagine it'd be such a struggle to try to shuffle them if the size was how it would be for me in real life. But for photos, I have little tarot decks for them. One being my, the majors of my own deck. And then I think the Blood Moon, I had pictures of that on my computer from journaling. Because I have a book dedicated to journaling about just the Blood Moon Tarot. So I had all the pictures from when I set that up. So I print off like so like this size so that my dolls could have a little deck that they could play with. So yeah, this is what kind of readings would that character of mine do. So like for Lily, she'd be very much fun, casual ones. She wants to do entertaining readings if she's reading for others. She wants that with her even her own too, but serious reasons are also useful, she finds. This is a little thing that I've done in my ball-jointed doll journal, where each of my dolls, I've picked a major and court card for all of them. So I already had hers kind of picked out that they are the Sun and the Page of Wands are the major and court card that makes me think about Lily the most. But then additional, since this is my tarot journal, I'm then picking out other cards that also make me think of it. So like the Three of Pentacles, teamwork and running the library. She's part of my little library game. They have a magical library that they run. There's the Three of Cups. She's all about her friends and having fun together. And my cat's coming over to say hi. Hello, Dandelion. How are you doing, my good sir? I have no idea if his fur ended up in the video or not. Hello, my dude. Yeah, I'm filming. The Hierophant. Okay, now I know he's definitely in the video now. That's Dandelion. He's one of my two cats. We have the Hierophant, which is oversees, because she oversees the nonfiction section in the library. She really wants people to learn and have fun learning. That's kind of her thing. So the Ace of Swords, so good speaker, she offers new information. And then again, I'm doing the decks where I pick out a couple decks that make me think about her. With her, at that time, I was actually putting away and not really reorganizing, but just I had a bunch of decks on my coffee table and I was putting all them away. So at the time I did have all my decks, like my cabinets were open, so I did pick out a couple decks there. So I have at least 4 at the moment for Lily. But yeah, that's how I'm doing the ones with these ones. And then, so over here, we see another thing that I'm doing. This isn't like a monthly prompt kind of situation. This is for me getting new decks or pulling out old decks I haven't used in a while that I want to do this with. So I'm decorating a page. I'm picking out my favorite card in the deck. And I am talking about the interview I had with it. So I was doing one interview. I think I was using Katie Flowers' one interview. But when I got one of Ethany's decks, I had gotten this one. And I think it was Kitty Flowers. Was that the one that I had? I have my spread book right here. Yeah, it was. I was using a 7-card spread from Kitty Flowers. But this one's a 5-card spread. And I tested it out with one of my decks, and I really liked this one. And since this is on a card, I can easily keep it in my journal. Because unlike my monthly spread, where I have what the spread's positions are, I don't have them here because I want room. So I'm having it where I'm interviewing them, and then I kind of sum up the interview. I'm writing my thoughts about the deck. So this is the Answers from the Stars Tarot, which is a major-only Final Fantasy XIV tarot deck that I got off of Etsy. I could link it in the description below, since I don't remember the shop name right off the top of my head. So yeah, then my thoughts about my initial thoughts. Then I'm writing down pairs. So decks that I've pulled out while reading with it that I've realized are really good pairs for them. So for this one so far, it's been the Dragon Age Inquisition Tarot, it's been the Cosmic Wisdom Tarot, and it's been the Magic the Gathering Oracle. And with this one, it's a tarot deck. I don't usually pair tarot decks with other tarot decks, but when it's a major arcana deck, I kind of use them like an oracle deck in readings. So I do pair them up with tarot decks and larger oracle decks, which I only have a couple major only decks. I think I have 4, if I remember correctly. And then I have a section down here. This is like a further thoughts thing. So I figured in a couple months of using a deck, I may go back and then write any additional thoughts like, oh, I noticed this about the deck. Oh, I noticed, for instance, this deck wants me to spend money, so I shouldn't ask it questions about if I should buy something or not. Or I've noticed this deck just prefers these kind of readings, kind of situations. Just like further developments, essentially. And then over here is another one of essentially like the Astarian ones where I'm journaling about a specific character. With the trailer for Dragon Age the Veilguard, it's one of those things where I'm like, yo, the first character I romanced, because Inquisition was my first one that I ever played. I started playing it when the first DLC came out, is when I got it. I remember I was in my college dorm, because that was my first year of college when I actually was on campus. And I didn't know the spoilers, because I didn't want the spoilers. But I heard it was, it's sad. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. This is a smarty guy that's, I know the knowledge. He's an elf. I'm going to romance him, and I'm just going to deal with the tragedy. My heart was broken. my character's heart was broken. From there, I started romancing the other characters. I've romanced all the characters in Inquisition on various characters that I've made. The one that I had for like my canon that I was going to go into the next game as, Romance Colin, she was essentially like a remake of my first character, and then I had renamed her to Bellavana. However, I've had it set where she would probably be, there was at one point where I was thinking about changing it, pretty much when this one whole situation when it came to like the fandom happened. Feel like if you're in the fandom, you may have an idea of what I'm referring to, of why I might want to switch the romance to someone else. But then I was like, you know what? It's been a bit, I don't want that to ruin this particular character for me. But I was thinking about having it be my one other character I really like playing who romanced Dorian. And I was thinking maybe I'll change things like that. I was messing with changing the thing. I know I got really annoyed when I was playing Inquisition earlier. I got to Skyhold. I haven't used the keep in so long. I thought it was set to what my main default world was, and it's not. All the choices are pretty much the same, but like Hawk's a rogue instead of a warrior, and I'm like, why is she a rogue? She's supposed to be a warrior in my canon slate, and it's annoying me, but I'm just gonna deal with it. None of the keep stuff's gonna matter as we go into the next game anyway, so I'm just gonna try to ignore it. But anyway, the trailer came out for Solus, and immediately this egg just took me again, and now I'm just like, yo, I want to talk about the end. It's going to be so angsty. It's going to be so angsty if I make it so the world slate is back to what it originally was, what my first character was, romancing Soulless. So I made a new character. She has a different personality though. I really like how she looks. I'm liking her personality. I came up with a backstory for her, and I'm just like, I'm liking her. What if she's gonna be the one that I take into Veilguard, the one that I recreate? It'll be so angsty, and like how they said how they have like an ending for each of the... So, can I have a happy ending, please? Like, all of us Soulless romancers are like, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna be happy? But anyway, I've just been very hyper fixated on Soulless right now. I have the Dreadwolf dice over here. So I had to journal about Soulless. There was no pulling from the envelope. I had to journal about Soulless and pick out a couple cards. The problem was I was picking out too many, so this one was another one where I had to narrow it down. Because as you can see, I don't have a lot of space for decks. Which I knew immediately I was going to write the Dragon Age Inquisition Tarot down. But then, like, as I was writing down this one, immediately, because I had the Blood Moon next to me, immediately I'm like, Blood Moon Tarot. And I'm like, why did I write that down? And I'm flipping through it, and I'm like, yo, this random thought I had was so accurate. Because the Blood Moon Tarot is very, like, dreamlike, like, this realm of, like, weird dreams and stuff. And, like, flipping through it, it kind of makes me think of the Fade, you know? So I ended up picking the Blood Moon Tarot, too. I am debating I may throw this one other deck down here too. Not because it makes me think of Soulless specifically. See, that's the problem. It doesn't make me think of Soulless specifically. But when I was watching, I don't remember who it was. Might have been Lisa. I don't remember. Was talking about... Actually, I think it might have been. It might have been. Was flipping through this deck, and I immediately was like, yo, I need this deck. It makes me, especially with two of the cards, it was making me think back to the first time I ever played Dragon Age, and obviously I'm hyperfixating on Dragon Age right now, so I'm just like, I need it. So I might write down Journey Tarot on here. I haven't decided yet. So I feel like this video is ending up way longer than I thought it was going to do because I'm the kind of person that just talks a lot. But you know what? That's okay. This is the one where I'm not just going over a month and what I journaled about. This is also where I'm explaining what I'm doing. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 kind of video. So if you like me blabbering so much, you know, well, I guess thank you. Okay, so... Here, this is another one that essentially, you know, I needed a page. I imagine if I end up needing a back page going into the future, I'll probably, you know, take a deck I already own and interview it that I've been feeling like maybe needs a new interview. Or maybe just have a decorative page where I just kind of decorate it. So for here, I put down another little, like, to-do decks I would like to actually sit down and study. Blood Moon, I know I've journal bought at least half of the cards. That tarot journal is about at least half done, I believe. I know the Animal Mundi Tarot is another one I want to journal about because I don't have the guidebook. I bought it secondhand, so I don't have the guidebook. So I've always wanted to journal about it and each of the cards to essentially make my own guidebook because, I mean, it'd be nice to maybe get another copy of the deck since this one's trimmed. I bought it trimmed secondhand. But I just haven't done it. So that's a thing I may eventually do. I just really like this particular copy. Like, when I saw it in the video going over decks that were being sold, it just immediately, like, even before I'd seen it, I'm like, wow, I really, you know, there's something about this deck. So immediately I was like, this one I need. Like, this is, you know, when I got it, and it just was reading so amazingly, like, you know, it was immediately threatening to, like, get into, like, my top 5 decks. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing when I bought it secondhand. And then also the Dragon Age Inquisition Tarot. That's one I've been meaning to journal about for a long time because it's hard. It can be a little hard to read because the core cards and the majors, I get. The minors kind of almost come off pippy, though, because you'll just be looking at a card and it's just of a spirit or demon or red Templar or a Venatori, and you're like, I don't know what this has to do with this particular card. So the minors, I essentially kind of have to read it like as a pip deck that just happens to have art. And it's a little weird. I haven't had issues really reading with it for all these years I've had it, but it's still something I'd like to sit down and journal about too, because again, there's characters in it. That'd be fun to journal about. So this has to do with essentially the kind of prompts I'm doing in this envelope. So this isn't like journaling prompts. This is something I used to do in my old tarot journals, and that I never really did too much for. And what it was I would make a prompt, and then that prompt would be there. So if at some point I am writing, and I'm like, no, but this deck fits that prompt, that category essentially. Like decks that are summery that I might want to pull out during summer, that's what this one is. And then, like recently I was like, you know what, the Tarot of the Hidden Realm does make me think of summer. I never would have thought about that before, so I put it down. I decided to not have this one be pulled out of the envelope just because June, summer started, so I wanted it here. I figured with the seasons I might actually just have it be when the season starts is when I have that page. But that's what this is. It's not like me going through all my decks. This is supposed to be, which originally that was kind of supposed to be what it was, and I think that's why I never did it before. So instead what this one is more so like, oh, I have a deck. Let me flip back to that month where I did this page. So that's what that is. For some of the others, like you would see in July, what I'll do is I'm going to pull out one and for just like a funsy one. So like dark decks. And this one was one I had only written, I think, a couple decks down for, but I made the page look so cool. I'm not going to make it look that cool again because those ones I was like going above and beyond. I was like painting on the pages. It's a little too much, I think. For just what I'm doing, and maybe that's why I never finished doing it. But I'll have a page decorated so it says dark decks, and as I go through all my tarot readings with like all the decks throughout the months, if a deck is like, no, this would be good for like shadow readings or something like that, or the artwork is what might make me think of as like a dark deck, then I'll put it here. It's that kind of thing. I know this was a deck I already had. This one was one that I got when I wasn't really reading too much. And if I was reading, it was just with my deck. And so I decided to give it its own interview page. So yeah, for the Tarot of the Witch's Garden. Over here, so for the next couple pages, I want to get back into making decks. I haven't worked on really making decks in the last couple years now. Since I made this deck, I started to make a cartoony version of my deck, which this is the World card in my deck. And then I started making the majors for another deck that was possibly going to be majors only. But I just haven't been able to do work. I haven't been able to do art when they changed my work schedule without really telling me till like the day of. I was very upset about that. And so I haven't really been able to do art much. And now that I've quit and I'm going to go back to what I was kind of doing before for work, which is going to be a couple months till that happens. But, I knew that it'd be fine. I just really wanted to get out of there since my friends were no longer there. And they were kind of what was keeping me there for as long as I was there because I hated it. So, yeah, now that I'm getting back into art, I really need to write a fanfic this month for July. So I imagine I may only make a couple cards for some of these decks. I actually drew out one for this, not this one, but for another one. Because right now, there's 2 decks I want to make. And I know it's going to take a long time. It took me, I don't actually know. My deck went through a couple different phases of art. It was originally supposed to be cartoony. That was back when I was first learning watercolors. So, it didn't, I made some cards, I didn't like how it looked, and then I got into I always liked doing portraiture. Then I learned how to do it with watercolor, and not just like my pencil or my charcoal, and that's what I do. That's my art now. So, Yeah, the actual deck for this one, because I feel like the deck probably took me maybe 5 years in total because of all of that I was doing and the changing, and then sitting down and figuring out what all the cards was, because I needed to put my heart and soul in this deck. This was a deck for me, and I was also making it for my brother too. It wasn't originally meant to be a deck to you know, like, sell, but other people really liked it as I was showing the art and stuff, and so that's why I made it something that I could share with other people. But it was originally just gonna be for me and my brother. I just wanted to share, you know, the art, because I share my art. Yeah, like, the actual painting process, most of the deck, I feel like maybe not even half, maybe like 3/4. I actually did in like a single like school year. I was a permanent sub at the time, and I was getting like 3 paintings done a week. I was going through. I was doing so much art, and that's how I was able to actually finish it that year. When I was doing the majors, I did them very slow. I did like other art in between, and then I was like, yo, it's time. And I just was pretty much mostly only working on the deck, doing multiple paintings at the same time. You could see that like on my Instagram if you looked at the dates, because I posted the art for all of the cards as I did them. And yeah, so I feel like if I get into that groove again, I know it won't take me as long. This deck, I have a page here. This is for ideas. That's why this is here in the front. I want to make a companion deck to my Merlin Tarot deck and have a Merlin Oracle deck. So I'm kind of, I haven't sat down and really thought of ideas right now, but I did put down a couple that I initially had. I probably will have the deck be at least 30 cards because I prefer Oracle decks that are around 40. 30's pretty good too. I don't really like them when they're under 30. Do I still get them? Yes. If I like the art and stuff and how they read. But like my preference is pretty much like 30 to 40. After 40, then it's like, okay, this is kind of big. I could just be using another tarot deck at this point, you know, so I kind of want 30 to 40 cards. And I just got to come up with some Oracle card ideas. That's just something I haven't sat down and done yet, but it's something I want to do. I think it'd be fun to make a companion deck to my Merlin deck. Then this, it has all these question marks everywhere because I would like, why did that sticker move? This sticker clearly moved. That's so weird. It's hiding the D. I want to make my own Dragon Age tarot deck, so this is just kind of me getting some ideas, writing down. The struggle I'm just having with it right now is my memory of Inquisition, like even just replaying it, is way better because that's the one I've played the most. Origins I can also remember. I don't remember much of Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 2, because I played Inquisition first, I already knew it's going to end up happening to my Hawk anyway, so I struggled making a Hawk I liked, because also I just don't really like Hawk that much as a protagonist compared to Origins and Inquisition. Hawk's my least favorite. I pretty much just have to play Diplomatic Hawk, because that's the only one I kind of like. Purple Hawk I know is really popular. I don't like it. And I also don't like Male Hawk's voice. The purple male hawk, people really like him. I don't like him. I just not vibing. I wasn't vibing with the with that choice. So my hawk's a female diplomatic one. And eventually I did make one that I liked. And I thought a good possible conclusion, but maybe not a conclusion. We won't know this game. They already confirmed that whoever we leave in the fade, we're not going to know what happened to them just yet. We're going to have to wait till, like, another game or something. But, yeah, I already knew that about Hawk. I did have a lot of fun playing the game. It's a really good game. In comparison, it is my least favorite out of the 3, and I haven't played it in so long, so my memory of 2 is not the greatest. I might actually just have to replay it. Which, I played it on the PS3, and it's over at my mom's, and I might just buy it for the PC. I did that with Origins so I could replay Origins because I'd been replaying it a couple years ago. Because I was like, I want to replay it, you know? Am I doing it with a new character? No. Because I've only beaten the game as my one character, and then I've just replayed that character. I've tried making other characters, but yeah. Inquisition's the one where I just made so many characters and played it so much. My hours for that one is just a lot more. And Veilguard I assume is probably going to be the same way, where I'm going to definitely make multiple characters. I'll just have my main one, my main Rook, and the Cannon Slate. But yeah, so there's some ideas. I know there's, you know, like, I know the 8 of Swords I'm pretty set on. I drew out the Wheel of Fortune because I got that idea yesterday, and I immediately was like, yo, I need to get this started. That is such a funny idea. I need to do that one. So yeah, I know this might end up being a deck with alternate cards, because I mean, the 4th game's not even out yet. There's so many companions. I'd like to try to fit all the companions in the deck, but there's so many companions. If I gave a card for each of the companion, that's like half the deck. So it's you know, and that's not even counting, like, you know, any like other major characters that are not companions. Like, it's gonna be a little bit of struggle, so I might make alternate cards. The protagonist, which is gonna be the full card, I already know there's gonna be 4 different versions of that card. Like, I already have an idea for a bonus card if I can't fit him in somewhere. So yeah, that's a whole thing. I want to work on that. I really need to do some writing, though. But I figured I'd work on that while I'm writing, and then once I'm done writing, I'll probably get right into maybe actually doing that. So then I got in the Journey Tarot, so I journaled about that, and then Mom showed me that she went to the mall and had gotten Under the Oak Tarot with the gift card she got for her birthday, and I'm like, yo, this deck's up my alley. And then I bought it for myself. Literally that night, I got online and I bought it for myself. And then at the same time, I had also gotten the Vesper Tarot, which is so cute, and I have no deck that looks anything like that. I have one other deck that's in black and white, and it's the Tarot of the Abyss, so it looks absolutely nothing like this, obviously. Yeah, then after I have, you know, I'm not cutting out specific a number of pages. It's basically like, as I'm going through the month, I need more pages, I'm gonna cut them. And then at the end, only then am I decorating the last page, which is a wrap-up page. So here I can just kind of journal about how the month went when it went with tarot, if I saw any, like, just reoccurring patterns kind of situation. Mostly this was just me getting right back into reading tarot, and just, I was surprised how easy it was, how the decks were just immediately, like, I knew immediately, you know, I didn't have to, like, sit down and be like, oh, I gotta make sure, you know, it just, because I've had that happen before. I had that happen once before, when I had gone a little bit without reading, and I knew the card meanings, but, like, in the readings, it, you know, it was like having to get that muscle working again. But here it just, you know, I guess the saying of, like, you know, riding a bike or whatever, it was like that. But yeah, and then, you know, just anything that happened. And then, only then I go to July, which this is what the July starts, but I will save July for another video. This video is already probably too long, and of course July isn't over, and it's going to be having its own kind of thing. So yeah, that's how I am journaling in this tarot journal right now, and also how my journaling went for June. So 2-in-1 kind of video. This is probably way too long. But yeah, if you sat down and watched the whole thing, I guess thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. Listening to me rambling and stuff about journaling and Dragon Age, because just hyperfixating right now. I'm just, the hyperfixation's so real. So yeah, I guess, so thank you for watching. If you liked this video, you could check out my last one, which is a walkthrough of my deck, which you saw the one card for, which is a Merlin fan art deck. That'll be the one that I'll put up before this one. I'm filming this before I've put up that one. But that one should already be up when I put this one up, so if you like that, you could check out that one. If you really wanted to, you could check out my old videos. I don't really like them. I've contemplated just deleting the old ones, but I'm not sure if I want to or not. So, yeah. So I guess anyway, like, thank you again for watching. Nettie says bye. Me being a little weirdo at the end. So, yeah, anyway, I can't end this, so I guess Thank you, and bye.